Welcome to the Mike Miller Show.
Happy America, people. I'm kidding. Happy Monday, people. Take two. Hey, listen, Jessica, I say every day, like, there's a lot going on, right?
Yes.
There's a lot going on.
I think it's been true every time, though. Like, yeah.
We have Frank Camp back on the show at the bottom of the hour. And, we've joked with Frank before. Frank, and I love politics. I mean, I do politics for a living. But as you recall, Frank says politics is his Super Bowl.
Yes. I
separate my sports from politics. Mm-hmm. I love both of them. I make money doing politics, but I'd like tonight, it may not be the Super Bowl, but it's a damn playoff game to see who goes to the Super Bowl for me. And of course, I'm talking about the debate. This will be the most watched debate by far of all time. Maybe the most watched TV program at all time. I mean, it's being predicted that between 80 and 100 million people are going to be watching this thing.
Yeah, and I actually was I was just talking to my friend to see like where we were going to go see it because I don't have TV.
Oh, you got to go see it. Yeah,
exactly. So
you're gonna, you got to pick the crowd, right? I mean, is it possible to do that? I mean, can you go somewhere where it's going to be a bunch of Hillary fans or Trump Olympus? I don't know where I guess you could go to a bowling alley and then you could be assured that like Trump fans would be.
I don't know. Yeah, I don't know where I could find the Trump fans. I definitely know where I could find the Hillary fans.
Oh, yeah. Well, that'd be a whole lot easier. Listen, we got that. We got Ted Cruz. We have a new ad out from Hillary. We got too much stuff to get to in a half hour because we're going to have Frank on at the bottom. But I can't help it. I got to hit this. I have a Florida man story for you.
Okay, let's hear it.
This is a real one, and it is Florida man.
I do believe it.
I'm just going to read you the headline.
Uh-oh.
Florida man high on meth, and the rest of this is a quote. It's got quote marks around it. Cuts off genitals, feeds them to alligator.
Oh, my God. Ugh.
Right?
Wow.
I mean, it'd be bad enough if you're high on meth and you cut off someone else's genitals.
Yeah, meth is a crazy drug. I don't understand.
Where's Tavares? Tavares in Florida's Lake County.
It's Tavares. It's a little bit north of Orlando, like northwest of Orlando.
Is that Alligator Alley or is that south of there? Alligator Alley south.
No, Alligator Alley is like Miami area.
Yeah. Okay, so 50-year-old man from Tavares in Florida's Lake County is tonight in intensive care after he was seriously injured during what was described by investigators as a, quote, 5-day binge on methamphetamine. According to reports by local media, the victim, Mr. Frank Canfield, was found by neighbors writhing on the ground in pain outside his property. You think?
Yeah, that's an understatement.
As his neighbors approached Mr. Canfield, they could see he was, quote, clutching his groin region, which seemed to be soaked in blood. I asked him what he'd done, commented one of Mr. Canfield's neighbors, who was not named in the article. I wouldn't want to be either. He told me he'd hurt himself badly and asked me to call for help. I'm not going to read this whole thing. But so like the live-in girlfriend, this guy's 54. The girlfriend's 28. I bet she's a honey too. She's like afraid of him because he's like threatening her and stuff. So he goes out and she hears him scream and then he goes running off and jumps over a fence and they could see him basically do it. And then the last thing they saw was him hurling his testicles towards some alligators.
That's so crazy.
In fact, this is my favorite line. Investigators believe that Mr. Canfield's overconsumption of the drug had caused him to experience a psychotic effect.
That is great. That is so great that they.
Man, that's got to be right up there at the top of Florida man stories.
I definitely was not expecting that. That was
no, because Jeff Foxworthy, right?
Yes.
He has his famous last words
Yes.
That a redneck says, "Hey, y'all, watch this."
Yeah.
Right?
Exactly. Yeah.
This could be one of those.
It could be, and it's like
It's pretty bad.
it's
Man.
bad. Don't do meth, guys. Don't do meth.
God, I never would have back in the day. I don't think.
I feel like anything that has like Drano and poison and stuff as
Probably
the
not a real good.
ingredients, probably
It has
not the best
Drano
bet.
in it.
Yeah. It has like. I mean, from what I was told, I don't actually know.
Whatever. You can probably make it from whatever. So anyway, don't do meth. That's our PSA of the day.
Yes.
We'll have PSA from Chris Rock coming up if we can get to it. But all right. So before we get to the debate, of course, the other huge news is, and this is just irritating the living crap, depressing, disillusioning cruisers across the fruited plain. Ted Cruz did come out and announced that he is, in fact, endorsing Donald Trump.
Yeah, that made me laugh really, really hard.
I don't know if you looked at my thread. I put up a post on IJ. For those of you new to the show, that's Independent Journal Review, where I work. The day before that cruisers, I forget what the headline was, but it was rumored that it was going to be happening, and I said popcorn time, and I got people on the thread, and I'll save your popcorn, pal, because it's never going to happen, right? Yeah, but it did happen on Friday. Ted Cruz announced that he's going to vote for Donald Trump. So then this pitched battle, and I'm sure it was happening all over the country, but they were fighting on a couple of threads on my wall about the E word, endorse.
Oh yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Like the heavy dude, like Matthew Burke hasn't even responded to me, right?
Yeah.
Because basically, and of course, me being me, I pointed out to Matthew, I said, dude, by the way, if you read his 6 points in terms of why he decided to support and vote for the Donald, those points are eerily close to what I hit you with on Monday.
Yeah, actually, I was like, I wonder, when I read that, I didn't know if that was the article that you had written or if that was what he outlined. I didn't know.
That's what he outlined.
Wow.
And does that not sound like what I talked about on Monday?
Well, that's why I wasn't sure. I was like, wait, is this Ted Cruz talking or Mike? Because it
I
was
know.
really close.
See? Well, Matthew has not responded. But anyway, so the diehard cruisers, and let me say, for those of you who do not know, I endorsed Ted Cruz, and I've interviewed Ted Cruz. I have had a lot of respect for Cruz. He has shown himself, and I have no less disrespect for him because he's a politician. They all do it. But he showed on Friday that like any other politician, he is calculating, and he did to an extent give up some of his aura, if you will, with the far right by caving in and say, well, yeah, I'm going to do it. So anyway, this pitched battle over the E word, I didn't endorse him. He just said he's going to vote for him. So it just goes on. And lots of stuff that I throw up stuff on Facebook, and then I don't I'm not one of those people that comments a lot. I mean, you've seen me. Like, I get in there and I'll throw a couple of things in, but I normally just throw stuff up and then I go off and write, or I come back and look. So I got up yesterday morning, Saturday morning, and this is people just like Custer's last stand. He didn't endorse him. Yes, he did. No, he didn't. And then they're just like nuancing this stuff. It just was driving me crazy. So I put this simple post up Saturday morning.
Yeah.
And I said, I found the pitched battle on a few of the threads over whether Cruz endorsed, to put that in quotes, Trump or not, amusing when I read some of the comments this morning. Let me help. Merriam-Webster, quote, to publicly or officially say that you support or approve of someone or something. That is their definition of endorse. To publicly or officially say that you support or approve of someone or something. Mm-hmm. And then my next line, from Cruz's statement. Last year, I promised to support. It's the definition. All you have to do is publicly support. And he did. And he gave 6 reasons. Anyway, again, the stuff that I talked with Burke about last week, it's key stuff to him. The reason he said he's decided to make the endorsement, the Supreme Court. I talked to Matthew about that. Trump has very clearly listed multiple people that these are the people from whom and he's of late said, okay, I will limit it to this list. Cruz's pal Mike Lee is on that list. We know the kind of candidates that Hillary would nominate. We know the specific candidates that Trump, again, it's his word, says he would nominate. Obamacare, obviously. Obamacare is circling down the drain. It's headed towards a true public option, which is government health insurance, because it cannot be sustained by private insurers. That was the intent from the left from the beginning. Energy. Remember me talking about energy and coal?
I do remember.
With Burke. Clinton would continue the Obama administration's war on coal. This is Cruz speaking, and relentless efforts to crush the oil and gas industry. Immigration, I talked about that. Fifth, national security, talked about that. Did not talk about internet freedom, but that whole thing is scary as can be. And on October 1st, Barack Obama is on track to hand over control of the internet to the international community. So anyway, so that happened. So did you see where you see Mark Cuban? Have you seen this whole thing, the Mark Cuban thing?
I saw Mark Cuban on Chelsea Handler, like, really hammering Trump. No.
So Cuban gleefully tweets, I want to say Thursday night, maybe, I don't know, that I've just gotten my ticket or whatever. He's going to be supposedly, nobody's refuted this, in the front row. Team Hillary has invited Mark Cuban to sit in the front row at the debate tonight.
Interesting.
Cuban has hammered the crap out of Trump for months. We've posted multiple stories when the stuff, I've posted several of them, the stuff that Cuban has thrown at Trump. A lot of it's pretty brutal. I mean, they're both attention whores, right?
Yes.
But Cuban has been brutal with Trump.
Yeah, he has.
So then Trump comes back with his knee-jerk reaction. Fine, let him do it. I'll seat Jennifer Flowers right next to him.
Who is that?
Jennifer Flowers is one of the bimbo eruption ladies that Bill Clinton had affairs with. Jennifer, he admitted to this under oath in 1998, by the way, but that he had an affair with her. She claims it was a 12-year affair while he was attorney general and governor in Arkansas. She's just one of all of them. Juanita Broderick, Jennifer Flowers, Kathleen Willey. I don't know who they all are. Monica, of course. So Trump comes out and says that on Saturday. He tweets it. And then I put up a post on IJ about it, that this is just too good to be true. I mean, you they really could do pay-per-view if that really happened, right? You got Jennifer Flowers sitting in the front row staring at Hillary.
Have you heard the ad for it? It does sound like one of those Sunday.
Oh yeah, and it should. I mean, the hype is tremendous. So anyway, that just was too good to be true, and it did prove too good to be true, because yesterday morning, Mike Pence and Kellyanne Conway, Kellyanne is Trump's campaign manager, they could not get to Sunday morning shows quick enough to throw water on that deal. That's not going to happen. And you know what? It shouldn't happen. I mean, it's going to be a 3-ring circus anyway, right? Mm-mm. But this is a typical. This is a little window into Donald Trump's mind, because his reaction is to attack, right? Mm-hmm. No, he didn't think this through. It's a knee-jerk reaction. Well, screw her. I'm going to bring Jennifer Flowers in, instead of stopping and thinking about it. And Chuck Todd, of all people, Chuck and I don't particularly see eye to eye a whole lot. But Chuck Todd said yesterday on Meet the Press, and I agree with him 100%, that perhaps a more sensible choice would have been to think about it a bit and invite one of the Benghazi family members, a grieving Benghazi family member, and I know who it should be. It should be the mother of, I forget which one it was, Scott, I want to say is his first name. You've probably seen, well, you don't have TV. But that would have been pretty effective, right?
Well, not only effective, but totally cool.
Oh, yeah. So Hillary's, obfuscating and bobbing and weaving if asked about Benghazi. And that's not, I don't know what the topics are tonight. I've read what they are, but I've forgotten them. But sitting like steely eyed, staring at her as she says, I did all I could do. We did all we could do. Well, you know what? It wasn't good enough because at the end we had 4 brave Americans dead over how many hours. And you did nothing. You didn't answer that 3 a.m. call that your ad talked about in 2008. That would have been pretty effective. I mean, and that would have allowed Trump to, instead of getting personal right away, which is what he does, it's who he is, he attacks without thinking, open mouth and then engage brain maybe later. But I'm suspecting that Kellyanne and a few other sane people reined him in and say, dude, you can't do this. Because if they said like, that's awesome, go ahead and do it, he'd have been all over it, right? Because that's just who he is. And I think that's a big deal. It was never probably going to happen, but even the fact that he even bluffed or blustered that it might, that just is so Bush League to me. Yeah. Why didn't he just kind of calmly play chess?
That's not Trump.
No, it's not Trump. That's exactly right.
Yeah, exactly. So I don't know.
Let's just back to that temperament question.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, it's how do you act when you're not thinking? So I don't know, but I think that that whole thing again is a 3-ring circus. It's going to be great, man. I can't watch it. I mean, I can't wait to watch it. 9:00 Eastern, I believe.
9:00? Okay. I wasn't sure if it was 8 or 9.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's 9. So anyway, Chuck Todd was right. Trump was wrong. He should have just cooled his heels and kind of thought that one through just a little bit. Speaking of the election, the agonizing wait is over, Jessica.
Oh.
Kim Kardashian has
I heard about that.
Yeah, has announced who she's voting for. And do you know the backstory here? Like how this all kind of blew up a little bit?
No, I try to know as little about the Kardashians.
Well, me too. I can't stand the Kardashians. But so apparently, I don't know if it was Thursday or Friday last week, she had, I don't even know where it showed up. Well, here. HuffPo attributed a quote about Kardashian talking about possibly voting for Donald Trump to the online publication Evening Standard, which attributed the quote to profile of Kardashian Wonderland magazine. I don't know what either of those last two are. But she said, here's the quote. She supposedly said, quote, "At first I thought, oh my God, I'm so Hillary. But I had a long political call with Caitlyn last night about why she's voting for Trump." That's just creepy right there. You know, yeah. That this girl who looked at him as her stepdad all these years. But anyway, and she ended it with, "I'm on the fence." Well, then social media ran wild with it. And oh my God, she's thinking about voting for Trump. I was making fun of it on Facebook, and Mark Tapson chimed in and he said, but you know what? I mean, we can make fun of her, but, you know, a lot of people, I don't have the quote in front of me, but I did include it and attribute it to him in an article I wrote about this very announcement from Kimmy. But so she tweets this "I'm with her" thing. And on it is a, you got to see this. I don't know how you guys see it. You got to go to her Twitter account, or you can go to my Facebook page and then click on this story, because I cross-posted it from IJR yesterday to Facebook. But in this tweet, she includes, it's a playing card image in black and white, and it has an H in the corners where you would have a Q or a K, right? Or the number. And in the middle, and it's got kind of like filigree around it. And it makes Hillary look like a queen. Mm-hmm. It's just disgusting. And then there's also a link to an open letter that she wrote on her website about it. But yeah, who cares? But I just thought it was pretty hilarious.
It was. Yeah. That's all I'm going to say about that.
Cognizant of time here. I want to get to this. I want to back up because I want to play this Chris Rock public service announcement. And I'm just kind of in one of these moods right now. But what precipitated me to send this to you is another article I wrote yesterday. And the headline is Larry Elder offers a few helpful tips on how to, quote, not die. And those are his words. If you're ever pulled over by the cops, you know, they're having a discussion on Fox and Friends about obviously the shooting death of Keith Scott in Charlotte, right? Mm-hmm. And so they're talking about it, and Larry Elder, in 20 words, very succinctly, explains how not to get, killed by the police. And he says, quote, if you're pulled over by an officer, be polite, be respectful, comply with lawful orders, and you will not die. Pretty succinct.
Yeah.
20 words. It's probably pretty foolproof.
I mean, it's not rocket science.
No, it's not. But just in case people need further explanation, as a public service announcement, we have this is a classic clip from Chris Rock. This thing goes back about, I want to say 7 or 8 years, and it's got 13 or 14 million hits on just one YouTube version of it that I saw. And, you know, Chris Rock is Chris Rock. So there is some language in here, but we're going to play this anyway because Chris Rock explains this kind of in street talk to folks. And when you hear the audience laughing like crazy, it's white cops with nightsticks beating up one or more black guys. Okay. So as a public service announcement, the Mike Miller Show presents Chris Rock's advice. Same advice Larry Elder gave, but just a little bit different style.
People in the black community, myself, often worry that we might be a victim of police brutality. So, as a public service, the Chris Rock Show proudly presents this educational video. Have you ever been face to face with a police officer and wondered, is he about to kick my ass? Well, wonder no more. If you follow these easy tips, you'll be fine. First, obey the law. Laws were made for a reason. Think of them as hints. You've heard people say, man, I wouldn't do that shit if I was you. Well, here's some of that shit. Carjacking, armed robbery, arson, selling drugs, buying drugs, stabbing, shooting. You know, you probably won't get your ass kicked if you just use common sense. If you jump a subway turnstile, you might just get off with a warning from the police. But if you jump a turnstile carrying a loaded gun and smoking a joint, then maybe you need your ass kicked. We all know what happened to Rodney King. But Rodney wouldn't have got his ass kicked if he had just followed this simple tip. When you see flashing police lights in your mirror, stop immediately. Everybody knows, if the police have to come and get you, they're bringing an ass kicking with them. Here's a no-brainer. If you're listening to loud rap music, turn that shit off. Blasting "fuck the police" while you're getting pulled over by the police is just ignorant. When an officer approaches your car, be polite.
Is there a problem, officer?
And stay in your car with your hands on the wheel.
What the fuck do you want, motherfucker?
Unless you want your ass kicked. Want to give a friend a ride? Not so fast. Your friend might be crazy. Now, before you let your friend in your car, ask them these questions. Do you have a gun? Do you have drugs? Do you have any warrants? And in case you do get pulled over by the cops,
License and registration, please.
remind your friend to do this one thing. Shut the fuck up.
Man, don't give him shit. What the fuck you want?
If you have to give a friend a ride, get a white friend. A white friend can be the difference between a ticket and a bullet in the ass. Here's a tip you should never forget. If your woman is mad at you, leave her at home. Because a mad woman will say anything.
He got weed! He got weed!
If your woman is mad at you, there's nothing she'd like to see more than you getting your ass kicked.
That's right! Kick his motherfucking ass! Let me tell you, shut up, boy! Take his weed, too! He got weed! He got weed!
Now let's review. Obey the law. Use common sense. Stop immediately. Turn that shit off. Be polite. Shut the fuck up. Get a white friend. And last but not least, don't ride with a mad woman. If you follow these simple pointers, you probably won't get your ass kicked by the police.
Yeah, that's great.
I mean, and again, we apologize for the language, but we warned you. It's true.
It is. I mean, I guess not get the white friend or whatever, but
No.
be polite and have common sense and, do what the officer says.
And, again, it's Chris Rock and it's his typical over the top humor. But I mean, they do stuff like they being, I don't care if they're white, black, purple, glow in the dark, but there are people that they want to challenge the cops. You're never going to win doing that. Just like you're never going to win running from the police.
Yeah, it's never a good idea. And it's true. I mean, the thing is that goes beyond any race. Like, if you give a cop attitude or are disrespectful or don't listen to him, things aren't going to go well.
And particularly if you have a cop that has just a tad attitude himself and never is in the mood to take any crap.
Exactly.
It was, I know we're coming to the bottom. Well, are we coming to the bottom? Yeah.
We are, unless you want to play the last video real quick.
Yeah, but the Hillary clip?
Yeah.
Yeah, but let me say this, and I think we said this the other day. I mean, this whole thing in Charlotte, when you have, after the wife is saying, don't you shoot him, don't you shoot him. First of all, why does she think they might? But then the end of that, before he gets shot, Keith, don't you do it, don't you do it, don't you do it, don't you do what?
Yeah, that was, when I saw that video, I was like, what is she saying? Don't do it. Like,
yeah, so they're saying he didn't have a gun. The detractors, what is she saying don't do? She obviously has to see what's going on as well. So anyway, all right, so we just want to work this in because we always say Hillary has a new campaign ad out. And maybe when Frank comes back, we'll have to talk about it if we run out of time. This thing is 30 seconds long, but Democrats love to play the card, right? They did the race card, the rich card, the woman card, the LGBTQ card. Hillary has a new card in her new campaign ads, 30 seconds long. It's called Mirrors. Let's listen to this.
Hillary Clinton, and I approve this message.
I'd look her right in that fat, ugly face of hers. She's a slob. She ate like a pig.
A person who's flat-chested is very hard to be a 10. Does she have a good body? No. Does she have a fat? Absolutely.
So you treat women with respect?
I can't say that either.
All right, good.
That last bit says, is this a president you want for your daughters?
That's exactly right. It goes to black screen. Is this a president you want for your daughters? And I should have set it up and told the folks that throughout the clips where we hear Trump, you see young women looking at themselves in the mirror, which is why it's called Mirrors. Washington Free Beacon reported in March 2015, and I linked to that. I put this up as an article today. Hillary called Jennifer Flowers trailer trash, called Monica Lewinsky a narcissistic loon, and physically threatened Juanita Broaddrick 2 weeks after she claimed Bill Clinton raped her. So is Hillary the president we want for our daughters? We'll be right back with Frank Camp.
Myself, be true to you. 'Cause I know that I can be true to myself. 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 Be true to mysel Bye. I'm Matt, a student at Hillsdale College. Here's Hillsdale President Larry Arnn on the continuing relevance of the Constitution.
Many argue today that the Constitution is outdated because it addresses problems peculiar to the 18th century. Some parts of the Constitution do read rather quaintly. Consider the injunction against titles of nobility in Article 1, Section 9 of the Constitution. But is that so outdated? The purpose of the injunction is to prevent the government granting special privileges to some for partisan reasons. This strikes at the heart of the rule of law. The crony capitalism so common today is a place where the government bestows favors and tax dollars on some businesses to give them a leg up over others. This is exactly the kind of thing the Constitution was meant to prohibit. The Constitution is not so outdated after all.
This Constitution Minute was brought to you by Hillsdale College. To join the national conversation on the Constitution, go to constitutionminute.com.
Okay, so as promised, my pal, my fellow IJR-er, Frank Camp joins us. Good afternoon, Mr. Camp.
Hey.
You know, I always say at the top, I don't know why, because I liked it when you said it the first time, but like politics is your Super Bowl, and of course I say I love both of them, but I do tend to mostly keep them separate. But I got to say tonight is at least a damn playoff game for me.
Yeah, at first I wasn't super enthusiastic because I thought, we're going to watch two people live for 2 hours. And then the more I thought about it, the more I was like, this is going to be kind of fun. As disappointed as I am. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I'm actually kind of stoked.
I am disappointed that Jennifer Flowers isn't going to be there, though. Did you see that whole thing? Cuban gleefully tweeting that he's going to be in the front row.
I did.
Yeah. I think that's probably going to happen, or he wouldn't say it. You know, I made the comment. I don't know if you saw this. I put this up. When did I put this up? This morning, maybe. Of all people, Chuck Todd made an excellent point yesterday. Instead of having this, well, these are my words, but instead of having a knee-jerk reaction, which is what Trump does, it's who he is, it's what he does, to the deal, and then, attacking back with the whole Jennifer Flowers thing. Todd made the point yesterday that perhaps a more sensible choice would have been a legitimate one, because Trump was never going to do it in the first place. I mean, Mike Pence and Kellyanne could not get to TV shows quick enough yesterday morning to pour water all over that. But Todd pointed out a sensible choice would have been to invite a grieving Benghazi family member.
Oh, yes. Well, Chuck Todd's good for a gem every now and then. Just
every once in a while, it's like a stopped clock tells the time twice a day, right?
Exactly.
But would that not have been awesome? I never watched. Wouldn't that have been awesome? That mother, is her son's name's Scott, I think, and maybe not. But that mother that hates Hillary.
Yeah. I don't know. She may shout out during the debate. If
that's true. They would have had to maybe drug her, but no, and I forget what the topics are tonight. You probably know them, and I did. But if somehow it came up, and she's bobbing and weaving and obfuscating, we did everything we could do, but you guess what, Hillary? At the end of the day, at the end of how many hours, 4 brave Americans were dead, and you've got Benghazi family members. I would have invited 2 or 3 of them, sitting there staring at her steely-eyed. That would have been a smart move. And nobody would have said anything about it, because, hell, presidents have done that kind of stuff in State of the Union addresses for years, up in the gallery sitting next to the First Lady.
Yeah, well, Obama uses children as theater when he signed Sandy Hook. So.
Absolutely. Oh, yeah, he's done it before.
Backdrop of a flag of children.
So, no, I'm really looking forward to it. I mean, I can't stand even hearing Hillary's voice.
She's shrill.
But, be interesting to see. I don't know if I saw the thing on Drudge, and you probably saw it. It's been around other places, but there will be no breaks. This is 90 minutes, no commercials. And if she starts coughing, not gonna. And they've even, the demands they made, like if she starts coughing, take the camera off her and all that kind of stuff. So wouldn't that be awesome if she just had one of those coughing fits?
I mean, If it's regarding her health, I mean, I guess I wouldn't say it would be awesome, but it would be interesting.
I don't. Yeah, okay, I take that back because I'm just a little bit more crass than you,
which is hard to beat for me.
Yeah, but I'm like you looked that up in the dictionary. Yeah, there's my picture. But no, I mean, I just look. I've dealt with this woman for decades, and I just no. If she's seriously,
she's a
and
master
I've said
manipulator.
Yeah, if she's seriously ill, no. But hey, she just might have another sudden breakout of pneumonia. You know, you just don't know. But no, I think it's
quote unquote pneumonia.
Yeah. I think it's going to be interesting as can be.
Yeah, and I think it'll get crazy viewership too.
So I mean, you know what? On the upper end, they're projecting 100 million, so 80 to 100. I suspect Donald Trump is going to come out and try his best to be subdued and look presidential.
Yes, I was saying that to a friend yesterday. I believe we're going to get presidential Trump tonight, at least for the first debate. Whether or not he can pull that off for 90 minutes straight is another question. But
can he bite his lip, though, if Hillary starts calling him names? Or will she be disciplined enough not to do that?
I think if he doesn't bite, she won't bite in terms of ad hominems. But she will bait him.
So how does he deal with, because I mean, yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, she'll bait him with whatever she thinks will get him angry.
Maybe what should.
So it's really up to him to be militant, you know, in concentration tonight.
If I'm his advisors, if I'm Kellyanne, if I'm Roger Ailes, if I'm whomever else he may be listening to in preparation, I'm going to tell him the first thing she's going to try to do, and she will do it multiple times, is to prove how much she knows and you don't about specific policies and goings on in the world, and to an extent almost minutia, just to prove to people how smart she is, and as Nancy Pelosi would say, the most qualified person in the history of the universe to be president of the United States. Here's how you react to that, Donald. That's the advice I would give him, right?
Yeah.
Because he can't know all that stuff.
No, he can't. And she will. I mean, despite all her flaws and, you know, how horrible she is, she does know a lot. Sure, and so she's going to, that's exactly correct. She's going to throw out names. She's going to name drop like crazy. She's going to throw out statistics, regardless of their accuracy. She's going to want to look as wonkish as possible to contrast Trump.
And there's exactly the word. I was going to say she would be an excellent policy wonk in some Democrat administration.
Yeah, and that's what she's going to do.
Yeah. So if you're Trump, or if you're us in place of Roger Ailes and Kellyanne and whomever, how do you tell Trump to react to that? Because she's going to do it right out of the box, first opportunity she gets.
Yeah.
How does he react to that?
I would say just turn it around onto her lies. I mean, there's ample material for him to go to on any category, on foreign policy, on domestic policy, on personal issues. Anything she says, he can spin it to something that she's done. So I would say spin anything she says if you don't know the answer, if you're on bad footing, spin it to something that she has told a lie about or that has been provably false.
See, my inclination would be to say, okay, she's going to do this. You can't know it, and you don't know it, and that's not your strength. Say that. And say, in spite of or despite or having listened to what Mrs. Clinton just said, she's been part of the administration for 8 years. Where's the beef? I mean, you can't say that because nobody would get that. That goes that goes way, way back. But yeah, okay, but show me the results, right?
Yeah, what do you have to show for it? You have a vacuum that you created in Libya, as well as Afghanistan or Iraq, rather, by pulling out of the Middle East that essentially helped form ISIS. So you have the Russian reset. You have all of her foreign policy failures that you can point to.
Exactly. So I would attack, if you will, the results or the lack thereof that she's been part of
Mm-hmm.
from frankly, from when she was a senator in New York. And I've seen him do this before. She had this massive jobs plan for upstate. Didn't happen. I wrote a post about it a couple, 2 or 3 months ago. It was a disaster. And she caved in immediately and then started playing small ball in Congress. And I forget how many, but I want to say I don't know if it's in the teens or close, but all these kind of small ball bills that she got behind, every one of them was defeated. So I think that he behooves himself to go to her failures, to go to things.
Yeah. And there are a million to choose from. No matter where she goes, there is a failure. I mean, even on criminal justice reform, he can go back to the crime reform bill and super predators, even though I personally don't believe she was being racist when she said super predators, but a lot of people do.
Nah, you got to take it in the context of the time too, I think.
Yeah. And but he can use that, criminal justice reform. He can use foreign policy. He can use her, alleged evolution on gay marriage. He can use her support of extreme abortion. I mean, he can use anything.
Now, see, that's an outstanding point, because if they've prepped her or primed her to get into this, I don't know which Donald Trump is here tonight. He's flip-flopped on blah, 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 blah. If they've not primed him to, as you just suggested, tick through the things she has, quote, evolved on, then shame on them, because there are ample examples of that.
Yeah. And I think if Kellyanne Conway is the person advising him, I think she is extremely shrewd, and I think she's probably the only person he's ever listened to.
I agree.
It seems. So I think she's the best thing that's ever happened to his campaign.
I was never a fan of hers. She used to be on Fox. I mean, she was for years. And I have newfound respect for her. I mean, even Chris Hahn, who's the devil's spawn, was on some show yesterday talking about the tremendous respect he has. He was on, I want to say he was on Saturday night on Gutfeld's show. But tremendous respect for Kellyanne. She, to your point, man, I mean, it appears that this is the only person that he's listened to.
Yeah,
because
and
you could
she
see
has
her
such a calm
in everything.
demeanor too.
Yeah, and you can see it almost in everything he says and does of late.
Yeah, absolutely. So I think, yeah, she's the best thing that could have ever happened to him in terms of
except the
dopey
electability. Yeah, except the dopey Jennifer Flowers thing. But
well, yeah.
But yeah, so I'm looking forward to it.
Should be a ton of fun. I'll be watching the whole thing, or most of it at least.
Jessica is gonna. Jessica doesn't have TV. She does. What do? You do like a Roku, or you have a smart TV, right?
Yeah, I have a smart TV.
So you do Netflix and stuff.
Yeah, I have Netflix, and I'll watch. There's websites you can go and watch the show. They have for their AMC.
Yeah, it should live stream somewhere.
Yeah, well,
yeah.
I'm sure it does.
CNN and stuff will live stream it on their apps, and so will Fox, I'm sure.
Oh, yeah.
That's how I'm watching it.
So Jessica was talking about going somewhere, it's in some environs and watching this thing, and I was trying to help her think if she didn't want to go where the crowd would typically be pro-Hillary, right? Mm-hmm. Like I was trying to help her think of where could she go see this where it would be like decidedly a Trump crowd, and the only thing I could come up with was a bowling alley. I mean, can you?
Well, I do live in Florida, so you also have to think about that.
Okay, so if you go into the center of the state, well, you're in the center of the state, so Florida guy would be a Trump fan, right?
Yeah, I feel like it wouldn't be too hard. I feel like I could just walk into a bar and that'll
you
be
go
fine.
to into a VFW or something.
Yeah, I just got to make sure they're watching the debate.
That's true. Instead of wrestling,
yeah. All eyes will be watching.
I think so. Anyway, I'm looking forward to it. Okay, so the other big thing we got to talk about is you know what that is, right?
Yes, I do.
So, what do you think?
I have a million reactions to this, to the point that I almost wrote them down so I could bullet point them. But I understand his reasoning for eventually endorsing Trump. I understand what he is thinking. And if people are planning to vote for Trump for those reasons, that no matter what, Hillary will appoint, extremely left-leaning judges, and at least with Trump, we have a chance that he will stick to his promise of sticking to his list. And so it's like, I get why he's reasoning it. It's not the reasoning that I'm going to follow, but I understand it. And I didn't listen to the Beck thing. I read most of the transcript of the Beck interview.
Yeah, I listened to part of it.
And I think he's being extremely disingenuous when he says it's the first time he's seen Cruz be calculating. Cruz has been calculating the entire race. Calculating in and of itself isn't a negative. Everyone is calculating, especially in politics.
And look, Ted Cruz is at least as smart as Glenn Beck. I don't have a lot of respect for Beck, but I listened to part of it, and Glenn Beck is kind of this self-aggrandizing. Of course, there was no conspiracy involved in this. If he could have found one, he would have, or concocted one, he would have come up with it. But I mean, I had Matthew Burke, Jennifer Burke's husband. They do the Politistic. I had Matthew on a week ago today, and he's a never Trumper, and I've been, I've kind of waffled. I endorsed Cruz, and I've said there's no way I would vote for Trump, and then at one point I thought maybe at least I deny Hillary. So I've kind of waffled back and forth. But anyway, when I set it up for Matthew to come on, I said, dude, I know I'm not going to change your mind, and I'm not going to try to, but I want to walk through with you. This was last Monday. Several issues, as Rush would say, that which one of these people, I mean, if you just absolutely had to make a choice between the two of them, which one would you rather have in the awful office?
Well, it will be either way.
That was a Freudian slip, wasn't it?
Yeah.
And eerily, as I said at the beginning of the show, Cruz ticked through them in his Facebook post. I mean, the Supreme Court, immigration, security of the country, and these are real things. And to your point, to my point, to others' points, look, we may have to roll the dice with a Donald. We may get 75% of what he said he's going to do, 50%, or even a third. But I think we're pretty sure about 100% of the things that we would get from Hillary as it relates to all those issues.
And here's the problem. It's a double-edged sword. So with Hillary winning, you have 100% of her policies going into effect and damaging the country, the Supreme Court, badly. With Donald Trump, you have the possibility of getting a percentage of what he's promised, specifically with the Supreme Court. But then you have the mass reputation of, quote, conservatism being ruined for possibly decades because of people's perceptions that he is conservative. One is you have to judge what outweighs the other one, I think.
Yeah, I don't know so much that, of course, the left, I mean, their view of what's conservative versus reality, or, you could drive a Mack truck, as my dad used to say, between them. But, you definitely have to weigh it. Trump is super hyperbolic, right? In almost everything he says, but he's right, in a hyperbolic sense, if that makes sense, when he says, as others of us have said, if we be in whatever the hell the Republican Party is today, if we, and conservatives are certainly a wing of that, if we do not capture the White House this time, Trump says, well, we'll never win it again. I would say at least for a generation or a decade or whatever, because the demographics are changing so quickly in this country. And we know that Hillary, and God forbid, the Senate was kind of the way it's cycling, that was going to be a job anyway, right? This cycle. And who knows the House? I mean, maybe the majority, or the majority, we control it, but the majority is very slim. If they get their way on immigration reform, wink, wink, i.e. de facto amnesty and so forth, it could be a long, long time. Hell, it's hard to the White House anyway as it relates to the Electoral College.
Well, and there's the problem with Trump too, though. He's for touchback amnesty, so his amnesty is less
I understand.
Obvious. It's a little bit more obtuse, but it ends up being the same thing. And he says no citizenship, I don't believe that. I believe he would be persuaded easily because of his past statements. But
yeah,
it's just
I know, and I go there too. But what? Oh man, he's so transparent. But then on the other hand, everybody says, "Oh yeah, but we never know what he would do." I mean, Trump hates to be wrong. Trump hates to look like a fool. And would he not look like a fool if he went back on? I'm going to be hyperbolic now, but virtually everything that he said he's going to do, would he not look like a complete fool?
He would, but it's a matter of his own perception. So he's looked like a fool for a year now.
He's used to it.
And he doesn't mind, he doesn't.
Right. He doesn't. I was going to say he doesn't even get it. Yeah.
Yeah. So I don't think, if he changed his mind as he is wont to do, that would make him feel better, because I think he would think he was right. I don't think anything changes his own perception of himself.
How much stock do you put into kind of the Ronald Reagan analogy, where Reagan was much smarter than, this image that early on, at least, Democrats tried to paint him as this B actor from Hollywood that didn't know what the hell was going on. Ronald Reagan was a whole lot smarter than they thought he was, but Ronald Reagan had backbone, and he also was able, as Jimmy Carter was not, Ronald Reagan was able to surround himself with smart people and listen to him and then make decisions. How much stock do you put into the fact that, or not into the fact, into the notion that you look at Trump's enterprise, that Trump has probably the ability to do the same, to surround himself with smart people, listen to input, and then make a decision? How much stock do you put in the fact that he may be able to do that?
Very little, because the key point is listen. And whereas Ronald Reagan or any other, politician will listen to the people around them, Trump, other than maybe a select few people, over the course of his entire campaign, has refused to listen to everyone around him.
Right, but look what he did with Kellyanne, as we said.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah, and that's what I said about the select few.
Yeah, but look at the timeline. It was starting to go down the tubes, right? And either she convinced him or he convinced himself. If I don't start listening to someone that probably knows more about this than I do, I'm done. Yeah. I mean, I'm guessing that happened. And again, we speculate. That's why we do this show. But I just wonder that maybe he would do that more than a lot of us give him credit for having the capacity to do. And I also think there's probably, I think there's a different Trump behind. Well, it's all of us, right? There's a different private Trump than a public Trump.
Yes, that is a huge thing too. I believe that like personally, on a personal basis, he's probably a completely different person. And people have said that too. The persona he puts on it's more fabricated than almost any other public persona of anyone I've ever seen.
The dude can't, at holidays with the family or, with peers in the boardroom or in his office, he can't do this braggadocious stuff nonstop. Frank, I wasn't watching the clock, brother. We got to get out of here.
All right,
man. Come back next week, maybe. All right.
Yeah, sure.
We'll take about the debate. All right. This is Miller. We're gone.
To the city, I think it's time to get away.